News, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour is our top national story. A suspect in the September 2012 terrorist attack on U.S. diplomatic facilities in Benghazi, Libya, has been arrested and is now in U.S. custody, according to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
I'm proud to announce that the FBI has arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack. Zubair al-Bakosh landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning. He is in our custody.
That attack killed 4 Americans, including a U.S. ambassador. For local stories KSL is following, Salt Lake City is hosting a huge outdoor watch party tonight where anyone can drop in to see the opening ceremony. But that's not all. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
There will be live music, activities, and food trucks all gathered at Library Square this afternoon, and Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall tells KSL they even have plans for a drone show. Celebrations will start at 4 p.m., leading to a broadcast of the ceremony at 7. Communication Director Andrew Wittenberg says this is a family event.
So bring the kids and maybe give them a little bit of inspiration. Maybe that will spark their Olympic dreams and stoke their Olympic flame a little bit to come down and see some of our Utahns right here from our backyard competing in Italy.
After tonight, the big screen will stay up streaming events every day, both in the afternoon and into the night from Italy. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 815 points right now. That's 1 7/10%. We're at 49,724. Coming up, this warm weather continues through the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright here with another experiment you can try at home regarding water. You can take 4 bags of water softener salt, lift 3 of the bags with one hand and 1 bag with your other hand. Yeah, I know. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as the 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, in our home, we have Kinetico, and the Kinetico water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 bags that other water softeners use. Now, I can speak to this because we have had a Kinetico soft water system now in 2 different homes, and I'm not a fan of lifting those bags of salt. This is just one of the many reasons you really should look into Kinetico. Their number is 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to you, Jason.
And it looks like this vehicle that is off the side of the road, westbound on the South Belt at Redwood Road, kind of misjudged the off-ramp, I guess, because they're way up against the side of the sound barrier, and that's where they've come to rest. Now, like I said before, it's not affecting traffic, and now you can tell why, because it's clear off the road all the way up against that sound barrier there. However, it is an accident, so we will report on it and tell you to keep an eye out as you pass through that area. Otherwise, the rest of your commute is looking really good. In fact, 2100 North and Pioneer Crossing down in Lehigh are looking even better than they were. They're not nearly as bunched up and crowded. Just still a little bit slow as you head over towards I-15. The rest of the commute, though, is running accident and delay-free. Looking for the best Valentine's gift ever? Exclusive Valentine's blankets only available at Minky Couture. Use code KSL50 online and in stores to receive 50% off your purchase. Visit minkycouture.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today with a high of 57. Same tomorrow, 58 on Sunday. And right now it's 37 downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, should we
Eye on the
hold
Hill
kids back?
2026.
Utah
Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Now we can talk about holding kids back on the Hill.
Eye on the Hill. I am not lined out yet this morning, Holly. You're going to have to take over here.
So look, we've been talking about this for a while because this is one of the things that the governor was focused on, and that is getting kids up to grade level reading by third grade. And so the bill that addresses this is finally out and is going to be heard in committee later today in the Education Committee. But part of the bill, it's a pretty big bill. It's pretty hefty. There's a lot of parts to it. But part of it would allow teachers, schools, to hold kids back in the third grade if they're not reading at grade level.
Yeah, and that's been a little bit controversial, although I think we need to do something about the numbers that we've been seeing about the fact that there's such a large number of kids at that level, at that age.
It's about half.
Yeah, that are not reading it at level.
So one of the things that I think is interesting about this is the whole conversation of, is it better to hold kids back and let them be embarrassed for the rest of their school career by being a year older than everybody else? Or is it better to pass them ahead but having them not be able to read on grade level? I mean, I think that's really the question.
I think the threat of being held back, I think that this bill could have an effect that way. It could be a positive, and because you could tell kids going in, hey, there's new rules in place at the school here. And if you don't get to this certain level, you may be held back. That may be incentive enough for a lot of these young kids.
Yeah, and their families. And that's one of the things I think, as we've talked before about this bill, I mean, I think with Governor Cox, as he talked about patterning this after what Mississippi did, one of the things they found was that as they had the threat of holding kids back, that parents kind of stepped up their involvement in helping their kids learn to read and didn't just let it go by the wayside.
On the other hand, I think that legislators and educators have recognized that whatever we're doing, whatever incentives we're putting in place right now haven't necessarily worked, and we're still at the same level of non-compliance or not reaching that goal as we were years ago when we recognized, hey, we're not getting kids up to their level in third grade if the numbers haven't increased.
Well, we have Utah's education reporter on the line with us. That's Jason Swinson. Hi, Jason. Thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome. Good to be with you both again.
So can you talk to us about this bill? It's Senate Bill 241, I think. 241. Can you tell us what else is in this bill besides the ability to hold students back?
Absolutely. And I really think I appreciate you asking about that, Holly, because certainly in speaking with the bill sponsor, Senator Ann Milner, who, of course, is not only a veteran lawmaker, but very much an educator herself, a former president of Weber State University, and someone who has really prioritized early literacy up on the Hill now for several years. And as we've had an opportunity to speak, certainly that's one of the key elements is beyond the element of third grade retention, which I think is certainly going to get a lot of attention and what people pay that sometimes will debate about. That's just one of the elements of her bill. Others are really putting in place intervention strategies that will be used very, very, very early in a child's early elementary education experience, starting in kindergarten and in first grade, implementing strategies such as, first of all, identifying students who are obviously having challenges in learning to read and reaching that proficiency level, and then immediately working with parents and with the school and being able to develop individual reading plans where they can immediately start utilizing some of these strategies and some of the research that they've learned to be able to help these students. So by the time they're in third grade, hopefully this is sort of a mood issue and students are up at a proficiency level. And so there's those sort of intervention strategies and being able to identify students and then implement reading plans and strategies, and then also boosting the presence of paraprofessionals who can come on board, assist teachers, work with parents, and give individual students the sort of individual care that they might need. And again, all of that happening very, very early in, say, kindergarten and first grade.
Jason, what are we hearing from educators and parents in terms of supporting or being concerned about this bill, or are we hearing much from those two groups?
Well, we just last month, the Deseret News conducted a poll where we spoke with Utah voters that, of course, obviously included a number of parents. And when asked about any policy that would require third graders who don't pass a reading test to repeat third grade, about 2/3 actually expressed some support of the proposal, with about a quarter saying that, in fact, they strongly support it, and about 17% saying that they somewhat oppose, 7% strongly opposing. And the gap between those who support and those who oppose a third grade retention policy was a little bit tighter in our poll when that was specifically asked of parents. And so to simply ask a sort of a broad collection of people through our poll, there seemed to be support. I'm sure that will change as soon as that's your child that's now suddenly in the discussion and possibly being retained. With educators, that's something I'm really going to have to pay a lot of attention to, Greg. I know in speaking anecdotally and casually with some, there's some concern that retention at this moment is the jury's still out whether it works, especially with perhaps a lack of longitudinal research saying, okay, if we hold a child back in third grade, that may mean that child by the time they're a senior in high school is 19 years old. Is that going to be a challenge? And what's the likelihood that student says, no, I'm tired of school, I want to move on. So we'll say dropout rates increase and all. And so the jury's allowed in a lot of these questions that I think we'll continue to ask.
Jason, I have a question, and I'm not meaning to put you on the spot, but why third grade? Why is that the basically the cutoff line?
No, I think that's a very apt question to ask, Holly, because the research has shown that third grade is such a pivotal moment in a child's education, because in those early elementary years, say kindergarten through third grade, the emphasis really is on learning to read. By the time a child transitions into fourth grade, the whole paradigm shifts where you're now reading to learn. So you can understand, and whether you're studying history, whether you're studying English, whether you're studying math concepts and all, there's sort of a presumption that a basic literacy proficiency is in place that will be required then to learn. And so if a child is not reading at proficiency levels by third grade, that really signals trouble ahead, because now the assumption is as they move into the more advanced studies that there's also the basic literacy is also in place. And so certainly I think it's an apt place to really say, okay, this is when we really need to perhaps invoke some pretty aggressive strategies.
All right. Thank you for that. That was Jason Swenson with the Deseret News. And look, we're going to open the phone lines up on this one. Tell us what you think. Should Utah hold third graders back to improve reading skills? Is that a fresh start or a confidence killer? You can call us 801-575-TALK or text us at 57500, and we will be back right after this break.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
What's better than a credit card with low interest? How about one with no interest? For a limited time, when you open a new America First Visa credit card, you'll enjoy 0% APR for the first 6 months. Transfer your balances from higher rate cards to your new America First card to consolidate debt and potentially save yourself a lot of money. That's 0 interest for 6 months. Interested? Then hurry to americafirst.com to apply today. Introductory variable annual percentage rate is subject to membership, eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Other limits and requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal opportunity lender.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I pushed through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, should Utah hold third graders back to improve their reading skills? Some members of the Utah legislature think so, but we want to know what you think. Call us at 801-575-TALK or text us at there's no prefix to that. Text us at 57500. We're talking about this today because there is a bill on the Hill, Senate Bill 241, that says that if third graders aren't at grade level, they can be asked to do third grade again.
So I think it's important to let our listeners know that it's one portion of a bill that's a lot bigger, and the sponsors of the bill, both Representative Karen Peterson and Senate sponsor Ann Milner, are saying that they want that to be like the last resort, basically. But so they want to improve teacher education, para-education skills. They want to be able to get family involvement. But we have a lot of people with a lot of opinions on this. And we have Amelia from Sandy who has called us on this one. Thanks for joining us today, Amelia.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Okay, I am absolutely in favor of this. When I was in 6th grade, I was tested and told I was on a 2nd grade reading level. I never remember my mother reading a book to me or with me. And I think that in Mississippi, where they're saying a lot of parents will step up with that threat, I think that's great. But there's also going to be parents that aren't. And I think this is a great bill. No kid should move on beyond their educational ability. It just, as far as me, I just felt stupid most all of my childhood and teenage years until I became an adult and was able to start reading things on my own level. And I think that the schools as well need to step it up with offering more help to kids who are struggling. I feel like there's a lot of resources for kids who are ahead and excelling, but as far as the schools that my kids attend, they really have very little resources to help the kids that are struggling.
Can I ask you just one follow-up question, Amelia?
Yeah, go for it.
What was it that really helped you become a reader?
Honestly, it's when I went to college and I went into a topic that interested me, and we had to do these like readings in our textbooks, and it was like 30 pages of readings every other day, and I was so overwhelmed. I thought there's no way I can do this. And I just had to make that decision that I have got to do this because this is important to me. And honestly, it wasn't until I was a freshman in college that I feel like I really began to learn to read and to like reading. And so that was my number one priority with my kids in their early education, is teaching them how to read well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amelia. That's an interesting perspective, by the way, as someone who wishes they had been pushed more into reading because they suffered from some embarrassment and whatnot. I would have been interesting to know whether she would have felt more or less embarrassment being held back in 3rd grade. You know
well,
I mean?
So it's interesting, and I told you we have a lot of comments on this one. We have a number of texts that have come in, and then just a whole bunch on Facebook as well. But several of the people have talked about either their own personal experience in being held back or a sibling's experience, and they felt like it was actually pretty positive to help get them up to grade level, right? I think that's one of the things that we used to do is hold kids back. I know when I was in elementary school, that was a thing that happened, and people needed to be able to read. Of course, there are carve-outs for kids who have some additional challenges, disabilities, maybe dyslexia, other things, and so they can have an IEP, which is an individualized education plan, to help them say, okay, here's additional reading. You know, I have to tell you, too, we have a bunch of texters who are suggesting summer school, and I don't know that the bill addresses that. I didn't see it in there, but that's a potential option, too, right? To say, okay, can you go, are there tutoring classes made available through the school system rather than just external to it?
Yeah, at least maybe as a safety valve, saying, look, this is a chance you're going to be given. You didn't make the cut through third grade, but there's a period of time between third and fourth grade where maybe you can pick up your reading skills and get to that next level rather than repeat third grade. Just have one extra semester right there in the summer to try to make that up. That makes a lot of sense, and that would be less, I don't know, embarrassing or problematic for a kid who's wondering if he or she's going to be doing third grade again.
I think our caller was right to point out that when she was interested in the topic, then it was kind of a motivator for her. I found that in my own kids as well, is that I have a number of kids, and they had maybe additional reasons why they were late learners, but who were slow to learn to read. But it really was when they were highly motivated on their own before they're finally like, okay, I'm going to put the effort into actually learning how to read.
Yeah, I don't know how I would have reacted as a parent had I had a child at third grade who wasn't at level and this law was in place. Luckily, we didn't have that concern, but it could happen to anyone. And whether I would have supported holding my child back a year for this reason or whether I would have complained about it, I don't know. Right now, I think I would have supported holding him back, but that's easy to say when you're not dealing with it.
Yeah, and we have other texters. I would say also on Facebook that it's kind of split, to be honest. So there are a number of our texters who are saying things along the lines of, what if they're performing well in the other areas? Like they're doing fine in math and social studies, but they're behind on reading. Is it a benefit to them to hold them back a year in reading when it actually holds them back in everything? And
it can stifle them in math.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
If you're ahead of the curve in math and then you're taking subtraction over again,
And I don't know this personally because we didn't really have kids who were super involved in sports. I had one who did cross country, but one texter says that kids are held back for other reasons, boys often for athletic opportunities, so that they're older and bigger, I guess, when they're getting into the high school age.
Yeah, I remember a kid in my sixth grade who was bigger, stronger, and faster than everyone else, and I realized later on, because he became a friend of mine, that he was a year older than the rest of us, and that's why. And he had been held back, although we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Later on, I learned that he was a year older than everybody else.
One of the things, too, that I think is interesting, and this is one of my personal experiences, is our youngest, the 11-year-old that we're raising, her birth date is literally August 31st. And so the cutoff date for the school year is September 1st. So if she had been born a few hours later, she would have been the next school year, an entire year older. Instead, she's the youngest. But when I registered her for kindergarten, one of the things that we said is, we're not 100% sure that she's ready for kindergarten, but we want to give it a try. And if it ends up being not the right fit for her, then we'll wait and do it the next year. And so you do have that, right? You've got age cutoffs, but you also have kids that just mature at different rates too. So sometimes it's just a matter of they just need a little bit of time to grow into their brains.
Yeah, my birthday's the middle of July, so I was always toward the young end, and I'm not a big person anyway, so I think sometimes looking back, had I waited a year, it might have been a little bit better. But intellectually, I did fine in school. I just was small and younger than most of the people in my class.
Yeah. There's an educator who has texted us, and they said they have 34 years of teaching, and they feel like the bill would be better off if they focused on student attendance and holding parents accountable for their child not attending school. And I know chronic absenteeism is a big issue. The legislature is trying to work on that as well.
I was going to say, I thought
it's just not in this bill.
Right. Yeah, I thought that they had done something or were
they're
proposing
trying.
Something to address chronic absenteeism.
They are trying, and part of it is just do you know what chronic absenteeism is, right? So there's 180 school days. If you miss more than 18, which is 10%, that's considered chronically absent. Is that a vacation? Is it the kids are sick, right? And it was something during COVID. People got more used to not going to school. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and I think we will address that particular legislation in the future, maybe next week, and talk about that as it relates to this. One let me ask you a question, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but do we know where Senate Bill 241 sits right now?
It's going to be heard today for the first time. So it will be in the Senate Education Committee this afternoon. But remember, this is a bill that the legislature's been talking about, the governor's been talking about. It already has the House sponsor, which is Representative Karen Peterson. This bill already has support. It may have tweaks that happen, and there's going to be conversation. I know Senator Kathleen Reeby is like, I'm uncomfortable with talking about holding kids back, and she doesn't feel like there's good data for that. But it could be tweaked, but this bill is going to pass.
Yeah, and it is a little bit more than just the third grade reading level thing. There's a little bit more to it.
And they really are looking at K through 3 and all kinds of ways to support children as they learn to read. And this is just one component of the bill, but it is a component.
Right. When we come back, we're headed to Italy. The 2026 Winter Games will hold their opening ceremony today, Friday. We'll check in with KSL's Matt Gephardt, who is in Cortina, when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top national story this hour, the price of Bitcoin dropping sharply overnight. Some of the decline apparently tied to something the Treasury Secretary said.
Plummeting for days now, Bitcoin. It's down to its lowest point since before President Trump, who vowed to be the most crypto-friendly president in history, took office. Part of the decline is due to overall uncertainty in the market. Investors were spooked, though, even further after something the Treasury Secretary said on Wednesday, indicating the federal government is unlikely to step in, saying it has no power to financially come to Bitcoin's rescue.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting. Other stories we're following, tech giants Apple and Google are suing to try and stop a Utah law that would force app stores to get permission from parents before children can download apps.
The App Accountability Act was enacted last year to replace a law that would have forced companies like Google, Meta, and Snapchat to verify a user's age. That law was blocked by a legal challenge based on free speech. One of the sponsors of this new law says it won't face the same challenges because this law focuses on preventing minors from entering into contracts. The new law received support from several companies that had opposed the previous one because it places the burden of verification on the owners of the app stores rather than creators of the apps themselves. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 875 points right now. That's 1 0.8%. We're at 49,778. Coming up, we've got some clouds today and warm temperatures. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window Sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at UCCU.com. And here is Jason Jones.
And Amanda, we still see this car. It's up against the sound barrier westbound on the South Belt at Redwood Road. Looks like they just misjudged the off-ramp there and ran their car all the way off into the sound barrier. It's not affecting traffic, but there are now emergency vehicles on scene, and so, flashing lights in the area and all that kind of good stuff. So if you are northbound I-15, though, you're going to be running smooth, basically from Payson all the way up as far as Ogden, and likewise southbound from Ogden down to Payson. No other accidents or delays that we're seeing. It's a pretty decent commute, at least for everybody else besides that person in the accident. Thirsty for better water? Culligan has you covered. From softeners and filtration to bottle-free coolers and bottled water delivery. Trusted local experts make water tasting amazing, or taste amazing. Visit CulliganSLC.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today with a high of 57 degrees. More of the same tomorrow. 58 on Sunday before we get some rain early next week. Yeah. Right now it's 37 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The opening ceremonies for the 2026 Winter Games are today in Cortina, Italy, and I attended the opening ceremony when the Utah Games had them here, and it was up at the Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Yeah.
It was.
I watched on TV.
Yeah. Who was it? From the singer from the he's saying a lot at that. Anyways, I'll think of it in a minute.
Well, I wish that we were flying over to Italy, but Matt Gebhardt with KSL did fly over to Italy, and he's been in Cortina all day talking with athletes. Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Tell us what's going on over there for you right now.
Well, let's see. So I'm in Cortina, and it's the Milan Cortina Olympics, and so KSL's got a couple of crews in Milan, and then I got the Cortina assignment, and I'm up here. I'm 6 hours north up in the Dolomite Mountains. I spent the day getting sunburned up watching women's alpine skiing. They're in their training runs. They have to complete those in order to get their positioning to be able to compete in their actual races, which will begin on Sunday. And we've got a lot of Utah athletes and women with Utah ties in alpine skiing. The Olympics are actually technically already underway. I watched the USA curling team come back and win yesterday. So it's been a heck of an experience so far.
I think there are a lot of people that are curious about Lindsey Vonn after her serious injury not long ago where she blew out an ACL. Matt, do you know?
A week ago.
Yeah, do you know what her commitment is going to be or whether she's going to ski?
I watched her ski today with my eyes, and
serious?
I can tell you she skied. She didn't take questions from the media. She had announced ahead of time she wouldn't be, and she stuck to that. But she came down the course. It was very much not her fastest time ever, but that was to be expected. As I said, you have to complete at least one of these training races in order to be able to compete in the Olympics. And so it seemed to me as though she wasn't really pushing herself today. It was, she went quick, to be sure, quicker than you or I'd be able to, Greg. But she was skiing. And she finished, and her coach then came over and took some questions, and it was all a very optimistic tone, a very optimistic tenor of it's Lindsey Vonn, and she's one of the best athletes on this planet, and when she puts her mind to something, she's going to go. A couple of days ago, we had an opportunity to talk to her and ask her questions in a press conference, and there was the press conference where she said, I'm going to go. It was the first time she'd spoken to the media since that crash. And in that press conference, she said that while these injuries are not minor, a completely torn ACL and some meniscus damage and a big bone bruise on her knee, and she's wearing a brace, while it's certainly not minor, she did also say she has competed and medaled in worse pain than what she is currently feeling.
Wow. Wow. So you mentioned getting sunburned. It sounds like it's sunny then. How is the snow level over there in Italy?
Okay, so listen, I got off the airplane and it was like unseasonably warm Utah weather. Like there was, barely any snow to be seen. We flew into Venice, drove up here to Cortina, and then the skies opened and it dumped for 3 days straight, and it is now. I mean, it's like that Charlie Brown cartoon, just walking to the bus stop and getting buried, Snoopy getting buried in the snow. It's really a crazy amount of snow, and it's impacting conditions. So there was a thing yesterday. There were 3 training sessions for women's alpine skiing. The first one had to be canceled because it was too snowy. And also, yes, it was sunny and beautiful today. And then also it's a mountain town. And so then it wasn't sunny and beautiful. And so, we all stood around for 2.5 hours because there was a big delay because fog rolled in at the top of the mountain and these women couldn't ski. And so through the fog, right? And so it's not safe to travel at 85 miles per hour whilst not being able to see where you're going.
Right.
So the answer to your question is it's cold and it's snowy, and that is a change since when we first got here a couple of days ago.
Well, that's a very, very good change. Matt, I know you're probably following a lot of athletes there, but are there any with Utah connections that we should be aware of or that we should be looking at closely?
Yes. There are. Okay, so Lindsey Vonn, of course, right? She's mostly calls Vail, Colorado, home, but she has got strong ties to Utah. She medaled in Salt Lake City in her first Olympics. These will be her final Olympics. If she's able to medal here, that would be an incredible story. So Lindsey Vonn, of course. Mary Bocock. And Breezy Johnson both live in Salt Lake City. Mary Bocock qualified just barely. There was a scratch, and thus she competed kind of without being expected to compete, and she, through that competition, qualified for the Olympics. So she is born and raised in Salt Lake's 9th and 9th neighborhood. She's become one of my favorite people to follow just because it's such a charming story that this young woman has who really – she had strong ambitions for future Olympic Games, but my goodness, she got in and she's making the best of it and turning this into an experience. And so she's, she literally went to Roland Hall Middle School and high school and the Romark Ski Academy. And so I'm having a lot of fun following her journey and her story. And she's just, you can just tell, when you're interviewing somebody and they've got that energy, they're just so excited to be here. And so I find that infectious. And so I'm really enjoying her. Isabella Wright, who is from Utah, grew up skiing powder days at Snowbird. She's a competitor. Breezy Johnson, who now calls I was corrected today. I thought she called Jackson Hole home. I guess she's just from Jackson Hole. She told me today, no, I'm actually from Salt Lake City, and I found this out because I said, do you have any message for your fans in Salt Lake City? And she wanted to express her gratitude to her friends at home who are watching her cats. So I'm in the center of Utah, Utah athlete connection.
That's great. Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks for joining us. I hope you have, I'm sure we'll be in touch, but have a good next couple of weeks.
Sting. That's who sang at the opening.
Okay.
I was thinking the Police, the lead singer.
Look,
anyway.
I just have to, we have to tell our listeners there's a free watch party in Salt Lake City tonight to kick off the 2026 Winter Games from 4 to 10. There's food trucks, live performances, warming areas, and just lots of time for people to get together and watch the opening ceremony.
This day in the history of the Winter Games on Inside Sources, brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Okay, so it was on this day that the dog sledding actually appeared as a demonstration sport in the Winter Olympics. So in 1932, on February 6th, there was a dog sled competition. It wasn't just a demonstration, but they went ahead and competed.
And it was one of the games in the United States, Lake
that's,
Placid.
That's right, Lake Placid. And the dogs actually, in the dog sledding as a sport, appeared 2 other times in the Winter Games, 1952 in Oslo and 1994 in Lillehammer, but it's never been an official event. So the 1932 competition, by the way, the very first one, it featured a 25-mile 2-day race, and I think this is maybe not surprising, but Canada won it.
Sure.
And then this one, I think people talk about, can we bring it back? And it doesn't seem like that dog sledding will ever really become an Olympic sport officially.
I think there is always concern when you have an animal that does that level of work as to whether or not you're overworking the animal. And you know, we have the big, what's it called, Iditarod every year where we follow that very
up
closely.
in Alaska.
And it's really
Part of it too is just the distance that they need to go, and so having to set that up, and you know, we just talked to Matt Gebhardt. He's 6 hours away from Milan, up in Cortina. So this Winter Games is really spread out this year. But anyway, so dog sled as a sport was first demonstrated on this day in 1932,
and has come back only twice and may not be here again.
That's
I don't know.
right.
There's much appetite to bring that back.
All right, so. The Super Bowl is also this Sunday. The Deseret News laid out what you could buy for the same price of a Super Bowl ticket, and I'll give you one right now, a cruise. Yeah. I would rather go on a cruise than watch the Super Bowl. Does that make me? I don't know. We'll walk through what else you can spend your money on when we come back right after this break.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's given me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So Sunday afternoon, the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots will face off in the Super Bowl. I think it's Super Bowl, 49. I don't remember. And a lot of us will be watching from our living rooms, but a lot of people have bought tickets to that, and they've spent thousands of dollars. And I would say this, 2 weeks ago when I was watching the last round of the playoffs, which would decide the teams that got to the Super Bowl, I thought that Seattle beating Los Angeles, which is a big market, would perhaps hurt the ratings, would hurt the value of the tickets, would make the cost of going to the Super Bowl go down a little bit. New England beating Denver was sort of a push, although New England just wasn't that.
Yeah,
I don't know, a team that people were following a lot this year. So, but as
I was
it turns
rooting
out,
for Taylor Swift's fiance's team.
Yeah, Kansas City, they didn't even make the playoffs.
I know.
Right. But according to the Deseret News, the get-in price at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara as of Tuesday was $4,552, while the median was $7,327. And if those numbers hold, this could be the second most expensive Super Bowl.
I just have to say, those numbers are wild to me. They're so high. They're so high. So one of the things that the Deseret News article did is lay out what you could buy for that. So you could get a 75-inch 8K TV for $3,297, right? So for $3,300, cheaper than you can even walk through the door.
And it'll last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
AquaRest Spa's premium 5-person hot tub ranges from about $3,100 to $3,200. Bigger ones are available, obviously, but that would be, again, cheaper than a Super Bowl ticket.
I know.
And you could watch the Super Bowl in your 5-person hot tub.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You can get an electric commuter bike for just under $4,600. So still, that's right about the price to walk in the door.
Yeah, Thermador. I just bought an oven from Thermador, and it was not cheap. But you can get a refrigerator for $5,200, which is still less than the average price. So there are a lot of things you mentioned a cruise.
Yeah. So you can do a Caribbean, Mexico, 7 to 10 days, all-inclusive beach vacation for between $5,000 and $8,000, including your flight. So you're just barely getting to the average price. Again, I think that's crazy. That's so much money.
Here's my favorite comparison. A used Honda, a 2010 Honda Civic.
Oh yeah.
Look, who thought of that?
We're helping our daughter get a used car for her to use as a reliable commuter car. It's $4,500, cheaper.
Yeah,
getting into the
2010
stadium.
Honda Civic for the same price as you can get a ticket to the Super Bowl.
We do have a texter telling us that they've priced out the true fan. Only the rich can go. I mean, I think there's some truth to that. So I'm not a big sports person, and I don't generally watch the Super Bowl. Sorry, guys. But there are some things that I look forward to. A, the Super Bowl ads, and B, the Puppy Bowl that happens before the Super Bowl.
I've actually seen a lot of hype for the Puppy Bowl this year. I've been watching a lot of the stations who are bringing puppies into their rooms and talking about that. And I can honestly say I've never watched the Puppy Bowl, but it's usually a time I'm stepping out for a minute. But
It's really so cute.
It is popular. People love it.
I wrote about it last year, and really it started as a way to say, hey, look, is there a way to focus on dogs that are in shelters and that might need homes? And so they divide the dogs into two teams, and you've got Team Rough and Team Fluff, and they have a little bandana that they wear. And, of course, they're dogs, right? So they don't actually play football, but they run around on the field, and it's fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember, I'll be honest, the very first Super Bowl. Green Bay played.
Ever?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was not too young to remember that, but I think this is the 60th or close to that.
Wow.
So I was pretty young, but it was Green Bay, and they played either Kansas City or Oakland. They played each of those teams at the first two Super Bowls. I don't remember which was which.
Okay. Well, so I like the Puppy Bowl. I also like the ads, and this year, I'm teaching a class just as an adjunct down at Utah Valley University, and I assigned all my students to watch Super Bowl ads so that they could come back next week and say, okay, how'd they hook you right at the beginning, right? They have to get your attention right at the beginning.
So they get to talk about the ads that
right.
caught them the most.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know, there has been a little bit of controversy about the halftime show.
A lot.
There is a competing halftime show that's being put on by another group at the same time. People were concerned about Bad Bunny. Now, I am not familiar with Bad Bunny at all. Maybe I should be, because he just won a slew of Grammys. I think he was one of the top entertainers at this year's Grammys, which was like a week or two ago. So the timing for him couldn't be much better. But here's what he said about his performance at the Super Bowl halftime press conference yesterday.
Stop me at the street or wherever I go, they only wish like good things on me, and I know that the world is gonna be happy at this Sunday, and they're gonna have fun, and they're gonna dance, and they're gonna have a good time.
Good attitude for him.
Yeah.
Very good attitude for him.
A good dance party. So we know that the alternate halftime show has Kid Rock, and it does make me raise my eyebrows because he has a song that he's talking about enjoying underage girls, and I'm like, that's pretty cringy.
Yeah, that's a.
I don't know how that makes it family friendlier than Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I think the idea about Bad Bunny that caused people concern is they thought that he was not American enough. He is a U.S.
Puerto
citizen.
Rico.
He is a U.S. citizen.
I
He lives in Puerto Rico, but I think some people thought that he was not, I don't know, American. He is. And as you could tell when you just heard him, he has a bit of an accent. He probably speaks Spanish very fluently. But I'm looking forward to watching him just because I've heard so much good about him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And we do have a texter that says he thinks watching the Super Bowl while on a cruise sounds like a great idea.
There you go. That's what I'm thinking. In a hot tub for $5 would be a good place to watch at least a couple minutes of it.
That's right. So that's this weekend. You've got the Super Bowl tonight. We have opening ceremonies for the Winter Games, the 2026 Winter Games. And I was looking up some of the articles just for the Utah Policy newsletter, and I saw one that talked about fashion because, of course, Milan, right? It's a center of international fashion. And so that's one thing I think I'll watch for. And yesterday we talked about the figure skater who wants to wear a Minion outfit. And it's, of course, the movie Despicable Me, which I couldn't remember right on the spot. But those are the types of things I like to watch when I watch the Olympics and the Winter Games. So it's always the moment where you say, oh, my gosh, they make it look so easy. I could do that. No, I could not do that, actually.
So I have a special interest in the games because of a family member. My son spent a year, he was in medical school, or no, he'd graduated from medical school, and he was trying to get board certified, so he had to take his class, or what's it called, to get your board certification.
Sure.
Yeah, anyway, so he had to go to New England for a year
and
study medicine to get that level, and he was one of the New England Patriots doctors.
Oh,
he went to the Super Bowl
so cool.
the year they played Atlanta, and he stood at the 50-yard line and watched them. So we've been huge Patriots fans since then, and continue. Just for that,
you've got to watch.
He spent a
this
year in
weekend.
Boston studying medicine and getting his board certification. So it was kind of cool. We kind of followed them since then.
I have no idea, but who is favored to win this weekend? Do you know?
Seattle is by about 4.5 points. No surprise. New England's kind of coming out of the blue here, and they played a Denver team that was favored until Denver's quarterback went out the week before, and they had a quarterback that just wasn't doing much.
Wow.
So New England was was not. I think Seattle was the number 1 seed coming out of the NFC. I'm trying to think NFC and AFC, and New England was probably number 2. But anyway, I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. I ski with the patrol on Sunday, so I usually get out about the time the first quarter is wrapping up. I never get to watch the opening part, but it'll be a lot of fun.
If I do watch, I prefer to see games that are closer and more of a competition than a blowout. It's not that fun to watch a blowout.
There's nothing like wondering when the fourth quarter starts who's still going to win.
That's
the
right.
game, no matter who you're rooting
That's
for.
right.
And there's nothing like having that be part of the excitement. And I always look forward to watching the Super Bowl, and I will watch it, but not on a cruise or in a hot tub or in my 2010 Honda Civic. I'm just going to sit and watch it in my living room.
Okay.
Well, we used to do this when I was a kid. We did it all the time, doorbell ditching, and we never thought anything of it. I did it as an adult with the neighborhood kids just to get them out.
Naughty.
But it can actually lead to violence and criminal charges. Our KSL investigative team looked into the dangers of doorbell ditching. You might be surprised what they learned. We'll get more insight on that after we come back after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Congress would do away with mandatory spending for items like Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security under a new law being proposed by Utah Representative Blake Moore.
The way things work right now is that Congress only votes on discretionary funding items, while mandatory spending items are passed and have their budgets increased automatically. Congressman Moore wants to change that and make the entire budget subject to a vote. He believes doing that will help reduce the debt-to-GDP ratio in as little as 5 years. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Some Utah Republicans are getting encouragement to promote a bill that would require in-person voting and the presentation of IDs for most ballots. President Trump's move to nationalize elections would end voting by mail by the midterms in 2026, something an assortment of Utah leaders want to do. This is the second year the bill is being pushed in the Utah State Legislature. Top national story this hour. A new site is now live that the White House says could help bring down the cost of some prescriptions. ABC's Rena Roy has the story.
The Trump administration last night launching its new website known as Trump RX, designed to make prescription drugs cheaper.
Dozens of the most commonly used prescription drugs will be available at dramatic discounts for all consumers.
The website does not sell medications directly. Instead, it offers pharmacy coupons or discounts through the manufacturer.
The discounts work only for people paying in cash, and the site urges users to check with their insurance since prescriptions through health insurance could still be less expensive than what the site offers. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 953 points now. That is almost 2 full %. We're at 49,859. We'll have some clouds today and sunshine. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends.
but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55, but unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to you, Jason.
And the vehicle is still up against the sound barrier westbound on the south belt at Redwood Road there. It's off to the right, obviously up against the sound barrier, like I said, and so not really affecting traffic, but we're going to keep reporting on it as long as it's there. We're also seeing some slow traffic on Pioneer Crossing headed over towards I-15. It had gone away for a minute, and now it's back, and it looks like there's construction barrels out, and that's probably the root cause of the problem there. I-15 itself, though, is looking pretty fantastic, both north and southbound between Ogden and Payson. You're not going to find any accidents or delays. Keep that big event energy big. Take UTA and skip the parking lot. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have partly cloudy skies today and 57 degrees. Same tomorrow, 58 on Sunday. Some rain coming in on Tuesday. Right now, it's 39 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I think Holly Richardson probably never did this before, but
I
didn't. Oh, yes. But I did it a lot. Doorbell ditching. We called it ring and run. But anyway, you go to somebody's house, you ring the doorbell and then run, and they answer the door, and nothing's there. Well, I was watching a story by KSL investigative reporter Daniela Rivera, and it occurred to me that with the advent of doorbell cameras, that people who do doorbell ditches now wear cover their faces, which makes the occupant of the house maybe a little more nervous. Well, there have been a case, maybe a couple, that have actually led to violence, and this is a story that Daniela published just a few days ago.
It's a sound that's become so familiar.
They're kind of chitter-chattering coming up to the door, and you can see them like knock, 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 ding dong, and then they run.
Sean Goobly just laughs.
They look like they're incapable, and the one almost falls.
Hoodies on, hurried steps, panic as they scurry away.
I'm guilty. I definitely dinged on ditch as a kid.
I mean, who hasn't? Goobly says it's funny now, but when random ding-dong ditching started at his home a couple years ago, his wife was alone with their 5 kids, and no one was laughing that night.
And she called me just hysterically, and they kept coming back like every hour on the hour, and just it got really escalated to the point where she called the police to come and check on her.
It's still happening.
We're dead asleep in the middle of the night, and so it's like you hear the ring, and like instantly your heart just like goes off your chest.
It sounds frustrating.
Extremely.
So they started keeping the porch lights on, invested in a camera, and once, Goobly even chased and confronted some doorbell ditchers.
I was pretty upset, just kind of like, my family's sleeping, you're waking up my kids. This can be very dangerous.
He's not wrong. Incidents across the country have ended tragically, including the shooting death of an 11-year-old boy in Texas last year.
Oh, this is just tragic. But we do have with us on the line KSL investigative reporter Daniela Rivera. Danielle, thanks for joining us this morning. And so the statute of limitations is run on my misconduct. But why is it that we're talking about this now?
We're talking about it now because I started to see a pattern. We have a newsroom email, and criminal cases, newly filed charges of interest will get sent out to all of us. And I started to see more and more cases that had started with a simple prank and turned out to include violence and now some very serious criminal charges. And after seeing a couple of these, we said, let's look into this. Why is this happening? Why is something that kids have done for generations leading to these really serious outcomes?
Daniela, I on our show, we talked about the young boy who was shot and killed in Texas. And I'm wondering if you could talk about how dangerous it can be for the doorbell ditchers.
Certainly. We are very fortunate that here in Utah, we are not aware of a case that has ended in as extreme and severe a tragedy as this case in Texas with an 11-year-old boy being shot and killed. But here in the state of Utah, we have had adults who have allegedly severely beat children. There's one case out of Riverton last year where a man is alleged to have chased a child, a 14-year-old in this case, punched him, kicked him, threatened him, asked him, do you want to die tonight, kicked him in the head. This boy suffered broken braces, and this boy told police he thought he was going to die during this assault. And this all started with him and his friends walking to the gas station. They decided ding-dong ditch in an apartment complex on the way. So something so severe like that, we now have an adult man facing very serious a felony charge. And you think of the trauma for this young boy who was part of this really concerning assault.
Yeah, I noticed after watching your story, Danielle, that you found several cases that had criminal charges, including, like you said, serious ones. The one of the cases that you talked about, the original charges started out with child kidnapping, which is a first-degree felony, and then there was at least a charge of aggravated child abuse based on the conduct you just described. So these are some serious consequences, not the least of which are the consequences for the poor kids that did a dumb thing and then got caught and then got beat up.
Certainly. It's deeply concerning. And, that one case, the kidnapping charge, that's where a homeowner is alleged to have caught a 12-year-old boy. The boy said that the homeowner slapped him, punched him, and then the boy, called his dad on his watch. And the dad is like, okay, I'll meet you. And the homeowner marches him over to the nearby Maverick to meet the dad. And due to your long career as an attorney, Greg, you can't hold a kid hostage and then take them to another location. That's really problematic. That's what lands you with a kidnapping charge.
Yeah, kidnapping is really bad. Kidnapping a child is exponentially worse.
Right. Look, Daniela, I had a neighbor who had kids. They were not, I guess it's related to doorbell ditching, but they were kicking in doors. I don't know why they were going around kicking front doors, but they ended up kicking in her door. She had to get some stuff replaced because they damaged the door. And I also have another neighbor where it was like, this has gone on for so many nights in a row. We're trying to get the police involved. What should families tell their kids about these kinds of pranks?
Certainly. So the police that we spoke to, they said it's important that teens understand we are living in a different world now. We don't know each other. We don't know our neighbors as much as we used to, and there's a lot of fear. And as you mentioned, something that I learned from talking to law enforcers is that the nature of these pranks has also shifted. You mentioned the kicking of doors. Some of this seems to be like a social media challenge, go kick the door challenge online that kids might be participating in. But you have to think about the sound. Those sounds mimic a home invasion. So, as much as it's annoying, there's also an element of fear here that we have to think of on the part of the homeowner. One law enforcer told me about New mom nursing her baby, home alone. They're kicking the door. She's got herself barricaded in the closet, calling police because she's scared someone's trying to break into her home. And so it's not a safe thing to be doing in a state like Utah, especially where we are very pro Second Amendment as a state here. Lots of guns in the state of Utah, and it's essentially it's a tragedy waiting to happen when you think of the miscommunication. The kids mean it to be a funny prank. The homeowners are at home terrified. It's not a safe thing to do. And I will point out that the police told me that if you are actually damaging property, like damaging a door, at that point you are committing a crime. And so, there's two messages in this reporting. And one is, hey, homeowners, you got to be an adult. You need to take the high road. You can get police involved. You can't be trying to teach someone else's kid a lesson, because that's where you run into problems. And also, kids, think about the safety issue here. And is this really how you want to be spending your time?
Thanks, Daniela. That's interesting, because I was going to ask her, what about the message to the homeowners?
Right.
Because we talked so much about the kids, and she said, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
The police were saying,
yeah.
Don't overreact.
Yeah, don't chase them down and beat them to a pulp. So
Right.
that was always good advice. So that was KSL investigative reporter Daniela Rivera. And look, I'm wearing red today because it's Women's Heart Health Day. And I wondered if you knew, Greg, that cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death for women in the United States.
I did not.
It is. And we're going to talk with a representative from the American Heart Association when we come back after this break.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
It's the movie show, broadcasting live from NPS in Salt Lake City today, the nicest place to save. And these are the things you can save on. You got to get down here because, first of all, I've got Igor here with me from NPS. This is the weekend. You've got a whole ton of winter games people are going to be watching. Then there's a huge game on Sunday. And we got to get you ready with all the food that you need. So what are the deals that you've got for us, Igor, today at NPS?
Okay, just for the movie show, we have all soda pop 10% off, and everybody's going to need soda this weekend.
And you guys already have the best price on soda before you throw 10% off on top of that.
Yes.
In fact, I'm looking at 12 packs of a certain brand of soda that people like with a vanilla flavoring. And it's $1.99 for a 12-pack. $1.99 for a 12-pack.
That's unbelievable.
That's insane.
Yes. And we have, just for the movie show, selected queso and cookie sauce, the one that you love, for $1.99. This retails for $3.99. So you say, and we have 3 different flavors right there.
Yeah, this is a brand that I did not know before I got it from NPS, but now I love it. It is the best kind of salsa and queso, and, there's queso blanco. How did I do?
Did very
queso
well.
blanco.
That's perfect Spanish pronunciation.
Why, thank you.
Yes, and we have these selected chocolate chip cookies that everybody loves.
And this is a very famous brand.
Yes, and those retail in the stores for $4.99. They're 25% off of a really good price here at the NPS store.
And there's something right as you come in the door at the Salt Lake store. This is the 50-count multi-pack, variety pack of potato and corn chips for $8.99. I mean, that's an unbelievable deal.
Those fly so fast.
Yeah, like I said, those aren't going to last long. So if you want to get your hands on those, you better get here as quick as possible. Anything else that's really good today? Oh, I see we've got some drinks. I mean, besides the soda, there's this particular sparkling water with real squeezed fruit in it. 2 for $1.
2 for $1. Yes, that's amazing. And then the sparkling protein water that you tried to.
Yes, I liked that.
99 cents, and this retails in the stores for $1.79.
All right, awesome deals at NPS at their 4 locations: 1600 South Empire Road in Salt Lake City, 475 North State in Orem, and 1150 North Main in Layton.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
As a social influencer, my days can be busy. 4 a.m., I hit the gym. 4:32, protein smoothie. 5:08, save time and money bundling my home and auto insurance with Progressive. Wait, if I bundle and save time, what would I do then? Just sit here and reflect? Like, why am I qualified to influence anyone? And how those weights are hollow? And half of my followers are bots.
You could save time and money bundling your home and auto when you switch to Progressive. It's one less thing to worry about during your already busy day. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Matthew. Did 4 years and got out. It's okay.
You were drafted.
I know that
a lot of times... You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, you mentioned this just before the break, Holly, but today is National Wear Red Day. You're wearing red, and it's a day where we focus on women's heart health. And some stats, you mentioned one, but these are concerning. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women, and nearly 45% of women over the age of 20 are living with some form of cardiovascular disease. That's stunning to me. And finally, in 2023 alone, 37,000 women in the U.S. died from a heart attack.
Yeah, and it's kind of something we think about happens to men, right? But it happens to women as well. And we have Dr. Allison Braun of the University of Utah Health with us to talk about women's heart health today. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Braun.
Thank you for having me.
So can you just talk to us a little bit about women having heart attacks and maybe how that's different than what we think of for men having heart attacks?
Sure. So as you guys nicely highlighted, the statistics are pretty concerning in terms of how common this is, both for men but also for women. And the reality is, even for women, most of it presents as a pretty typical fashion with symptoms of chest pain, shortness of breath, and even pain that radiates like down the arms or to the neck or jaw. And so that's kind of the typical presentation of a heart attack. But we do know that with women, they are more likely to experience either like atypical or more subtle symptoms. So maybe not that classic crushing chest pain, but instead just feeling more short of breath, maybe nausea, vomiting, some vague discomfort. But often these symptoms are missed in women just because it's not that classic crushing chest pain.
Dr. Brandt, are we finding that these numbers are getting worse over time, maybe as a result of people's poor diets, people maybe being overweight more than they have been in the past, or are these numbers that have been fairly consistent?
Sure. If you compare to like many decades ago, there has been improvement, particularly in the realm of prevention with like medications to lower cholesterol. So many decades ago, we did see a decrease, but in recent years, it has been more, steady without a drastic change, related to still just high rates of comorbidities, things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, and then obesity as well.
So what can you teach us about having that number, 45% of women over age 20 have some form of cardiovascular disease. What do women need to know about heart health?
Yeah, I think, part of it is knowing the symptoms that we went over, but I think probably the more important thing we're trying to raise awareness for this month is the importance of prevention. And, ideally we would, get on top of this before it manifests with something like a heart attack. And so there actually is a lot that we can control, both men and women, but the most important things, just knowing your numbers. So blood pressure, cholesterol, as well as blood sugar, risk of diabetes are some of the major, factors that contribute to heart disease. And then just embracing a healthy lifestyle overall. So maintaining a healthy weight, eating healthy, and then staying active, which the American Heart Association recommends as 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes if it's more vigorous each week. So I think our message is, this prevention starts early in life. Don't wait until it manifests with something like a heart attack, and focusing on all those things I mentioned.
Speaking of diet, what do you tell your patients and people that you address about things that they could or should change that they're either not eating or that they are eating that are causing them problems?
Sure. I think big picture is just avoiding excess calories. So attention to how many calories are in your diet and avoiding, certain snacks or foods that are adding excess calories that could be easily trimmed out. And then in terms of a heart healthy diet, more specifically, we aim to include mostly foods that are like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, things like nuts and seeds. And then for cooking, we focus on things like olive oil. So sort of this Mediterranean diet is well studied in terms of prevention of heart disease.
I thought that I saw an interesting link between heart health and sleep. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, there is a link. Patients or women in general who don't get enough sleep, so that's targeting at least 7 or ideally up to 9 hours a night, have increased risk of, comorbidities, things like hypertension, sleep apnea, and then those predispose them to risk of heart attacks down the road. So sleep is definitely a big target as well.
And are lifestyle choices a target? That is to say, people with stressful jobs or people who just put themselves in stressful situations, are those factors that can contribute or cause more heart disease or heart problems?
Yeah, certainly stress. I would add to the factors that I listed below. I think it's harder to control for most people. We don't have a whole lot of control over our jobs and stuff like that. So focusing on when there are sources of stress, focusing on these other things, make sure you're eating well, getting enough sleep, staying active, just to try to balance out that risk.
If we were having this conversation about men, Dr. Brand, would you be telling us something different, or is the advice fairly consistent between both genders?
I would say it's fairly consistent. Really, the main separation for women is what I mentioned before in terms of the symptoms can be more subtle. And then specifically for women, there are periods in life that accelerate the risk for heart disease. And specifically, that's related to pregnancy as well as menopause. So men are fortunately spared from those pieces of advice. But otherwise, all the lifestyle stuff I mentioned does apply to men as well.
Is there anything that you can tell our listeners who may have daughters or granddaughters in maybe the 20 to 30-year-old range besides eating healthy and getting exercise? Is there anything they need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, for young patients, we especially worry if there's a history of cardiovascular disease in the family. So any women who are known to have heart disease, either something like high cholesterol or if they've had a heart attack, prevention of that really starts at a young age. So getting their children checked by a physician and specifically checking things like blood pressure and cholesterol, because if those are elevated, and we can treat them earlier in life and greatly reduce their risk of heart attacks down the road.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. That was Dr. Allison Brown of the University of Utah Health talking about the reason that Holly is wearing red today.
That's right.
I think it's interesting, and I'm glad you did that. I wished I had been.
Well, I'll just tell you,
alert.
if you were up on Utah's Capitol Hill today, you would see almost all the women up there would also be wearing red because it's one of the things that they talk about and focus on. Even though there's not legislation, right? But to just say, look, we need to bring awareness to women's heart health too. One of the things I think is interesting is that a lot of the research originally on heart attacks was really looking exclusively at male patients.
Right.
And so they were missing some of these more subtle signs of women having heart attacks. And even the treatment where you may have heard, take this baby aspirin, that was tested on men and not on women.
Yeah, and that's something that people still take a lot who have had heart issues or even getting into it a certain age
decreases
group.
clotting, yeah.
Right, yes. Yeah. I've always had low cholesterol, but I've still had issues. You still have things that come up once in a while, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. My doctor will say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yeah, right.
Even though I've historically had lower cholesterol. Interesting, good points she makes. Know your numbers. Be active. 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity every week or some combination thereof. So, yeah, eat healthy, exercise, the kind of things you'd think about.
Yeah.
And it's a good time to talk about that again.
That's right.
Well, when we come back after the break, we're going to pivot to the movie show. We usually do it in the last segment, but we're changing things up a little bit today. And I have one question. What's the best romantic comedy movie that's from a guy's point of view? We'll talk about that when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a man has been arrested after prompting a shelter in place and committing acts of domestic violence. It was in the Marble Hills area, just west of Tremonton. The Box Elder County Sheriff's Office says Jeremy McIntyre physically assaulted his girlfriend and another person in the home. He had a gun, but others in the home were able to get out with the gun. He then got another gun and barricaded himself in the home with his girlfriend, making threats to law enforcement.
He was booked in the jail on 2 counts of aggravated assault, domestic violence, and 1 count domestic violence in the presence of a child.
Chief Deputy Sheriff Kate Palmer says the suspect came out peacefully after he was called out using a loudspeaker. The shelter in place was lifted soon after. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. An overnight social media post by President Trump has sparked outrage on both sides of the aisle over how it depicts Barack and Michelle Obama.
The AI-generated clip features the former first couple, the nation's first black president and first lady, depicted as apes, playing into a historic, dehumanizing trope. The White House says it was taken from a longer video that casts a variety of Democrats as animals and President Trump as a lion, king of the jungle. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, calls the clip the most racist thing he's seen out of this White House, and he's urged the president to remove it.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is up 965 points. That's 2 full %. We're at 49,872. We've got some hazy sunshine today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The movie show broadcasting live today from NPS, the nicest place to save, to stock up for all the football and Olympic watching you're going to do this weekend, all the games you're going to watch on television. I was just walking around the store, Igor, and these were the deals that I noticed. I'm seeing some 12 packs of soda cans for $2.
And it's the brand that everybody
loves. And
loves.
it's the brand that everybody loves. In fact, there's some that my kids are going to, I'm not going to tell them about it because I stupidly bought sodas somewhere else, and I forgot I was coming here on Friday.
Oh, no.
And what have I done? I overpaid. Well, that's what I did, is I overpaid.
Yes.
Is what I did. And then you guys have the 20-ounce bottles of soda, too.
This retails for $2.59 in the big box stores.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what our price is? 2 for $1.
2 for $1 on the 20-ounce sodas. Think about that. A 24, and actually you have some 24 packs of the 20-ounce sodas for less than 2 for $1.
I know. It's unbelievable.
These are just unbelievable prices. I was walking around. I saw some good deals on your snack aisle's just completely packed right now. People taking deals on chips,
yes,
deals on dips,
yes,
deals on drinks beyond just the sodas we're talking about. If you don't like soda, they've got a whole bunch of other things to choose from. I saw strawberry milk, too, for $1 on those. Like that price, too.
You're amazing. Yes. People are filling their baskets, their shopping carts, without emptying their wallets.
And that's what you do at NPS. Now, think about this, too. We've just been talking about food. You've got deals all across the whole spectrum of the store. I'm looking at clothing. You've got an extra 50% off the 30 to 70% that you've already marked down all of those new items. So if you're looking for new clothes or something, it's been warm. Heck, good time to get some extra short sleeve shirts.
Yes, this weekend is sports. Next weekend is Valentine's.
Valentine's, that's right.
So here at NPS, come over. You're going to give your loved one the best present.
Yeah, tell your lady, I'm going to buy you a new dress. Come over here at NPS. You can pick out a brand new dress. She doesn't need to know that you're getting such a good deal on it.
Yes, and we have the purses that all ladies love. We have the jewelry.
That's right, because you guys have a nice collectibles section.
Yes.
That if you walk through the store, you might not realize it's kind of hidden back there.
Yes.
Hidden gems, if you will.
I know.
But this is the great thing. NPS has all retail items. These are all brand new items, 30 to 70% off their original price, and then NPS stacks deals on top of that. So you're not even paying the 30 to 70%. You're paying sometimes close to 90% off the original retail price.
That's absolutely right.
And you guys have locations up and down the Wasatch, up and down between Orem and
Layton.
Okay, let me get my brain straightened out. Layton at 1150 North Main for Davis County. In Utah County, 475 North State in Orem. And here in Salt Lake, 1600 South Empire Road.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at UCCU.com. Jason?
And they've cleared up all the accidents that we were looking at, so you don't really have to worry about any of those anymore. Although we do have reports of an accident southbound I-15 at University Parkway in Orem, but you can't see it on this camera there. And so what I think happened was it was a minor one, and it is gone now, so you don't really have to worry about that either. The only slowdown that we've got is happening on Pioneer Crossing as you're headed over towards I-15. Construction barrels out there. That's what's causing the problem, and that's what's making you go slower than normal. Otherwise, everything else is still looking pretty good with no other accidents or delays. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at StubbsDental.com today. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today and the rest of the weekend will be partly cloudy, highs in the upper 50s. Then a cold front comes in on Monday that will bring some rain for us on Tuesday. Right now it's 45 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
But we're going to mix things up just a little bit today because our last segment is going to be a little bit different, kind of a fun segment that we're going to finish with. But we're going to have our usual fun segment now and talk about a couple of things. We've already talked about some significant events that today represents, not the least of which was the first
dog sledding.
The first dog sledding at the
1932,
Olympics was,
February 6th,
almost
1932.
100 years ago in Lake Placid, New York. And then it's National Women's Heart Day.
Yeah, that's right. And so I also wanted to talk about a couple of other fun things before we pivot to the movie show. So today is actually Ronald Reagan's birthday. He was born on this day in 1911. And then on his birthday in 1985, he gave the State of the Union address and announced the Reagan Doctrine. It was his approach to foreign policy. This is an interesting quote from that speech. He said, "Freedom is not the sole prerogative of a chosen few. It is the universal right of all God's children." So that is, that's an interesting conversation for today, what is happening currently. It is also on this day in 1952 that Elizabeth became the Queen of England when her dad, King George VI, died. But in 2022, she had her Platinum Jubilee, which marked 70 years on the throne. She was the first British monarch to celebrate Platinum Jubilee. And then it was later that year that she passed away, and her son,
Imagine
Charles,
that.
became the king.
70 years.
70 years on the throne.
Right, on the throne. It wasn't.
And she didn't start as a tiny kid, right? I mean, she was an adult when she took
interesting.
over.
A person who I hadn't followed at all until she passed, and then I read all this stuff about the things
so
that she had done.
Fascinating, yeah. And then one final note, and I remember when this happened, it was just such big news, but it was in 2023. A 7.9 earthquake hit southern Turkey. It killed over 50,000 people, and one of the reasons it really stood out to me is because I had been in that general area and doing work with refugees, Syrian refugees who were in some refugee camps. And also at the time, Jeff Flake was the ambassador, so he's been a guest on our show a couple of times, but that was less fun fact. So
let me ask you this. In the last week or so, is it me, or have we had a few more earthquakes than I'm used to along the Wasatch Front?
It seems like a few
I think
more.
we've had 3 in the last week, including one yesterday that a lot of people felt in the Utah
That's
County
right.
area.
We had one yesterday. My daughter felt it, and my husband heard it. He said he thought something loud fell downstairs, but it actually was the earthquake, and it woke my daughter up. She works graveyards, so she was still asleep.
I hope it's not a sign of things to come here.
Maybe.
That we're suddenly getting a bunch of earthquakes.
Maybe you get a few little ones, and then you don't have the big one.
Yeah.
So, look, this is not an earthquake one. This is Andy Farnsworth with the KSL Movie Show, and he's going to talk to us about the big movie of the week. Hi, Andy.
Yeah, so, Valentine's is next week, and so we actually have 3 different love stories we're going to talk about on the movie show, but our big movie of the week, and by the way, 3 different stories told in 3 very different ways, but the one we picked is called Solo Mio, and it stars Kevin James of King of Queens fame and, Adam Sandler's buddy. And he plays a guy who's like an elementary school teacher. He proposes to his fellow elementary school teacher, and they hold their wedding in Italy because she teaches Italian to kids. Well, the wedding doesn't go off like it's supposed to, and what he ends up having to do, he tries to get a refund on his honeymoon package, which is to go through Italy, but he finds out you can't. It's paid for, and so you either go or you lose your money. So the hotel concierge is like, sir, why don't you just go by yourself? So he goes by himself. I did a great impression there, I know.
Yes,
but
that was great.
He just, so he's struggling. He's dealing with the feelings of what happened, and now he's on this, romantic tour where he's watching all these other couples have a great time. And he ends up kind of not hooking up, that's probably the wrong term since what we're talking about, but he ends up kind of connecting with 2 other couples. One of them is Allison Hannigan from How I Met Your Mother and from Buffy, and her and her husband, Kim Coates, who I had to look it up because I thought it was Joaquin Phoenix with a mustache. It's not. And then Jonathan Rumi, if you recognize that name, he plays Jesus on The Chosen.
Oh, yeah.
He plays a character so different that it's like extra funny because he plays a therapist, and he starts to give advice to Kevin James, and then he finds out that he's actually just a physical therapist.
Oh, gosh.
So that's where kind of the fun comes in. Like Kevin James is actually restrained. You know how he can get a little obnoxious sometimes if you've seen a lot of his stuff. In this movie, he plays like kind of a grounded and like actually a charming kind of guy who's obviously heart-stricken, but he also meets up with a coffee shop owner named Gia, who kind of helps to bring him out. So there's a lot, because I don't want to give away the story, but I'll tell you this. The characters were interesting and funny, and Kevin James was not obnoxious, and really that's what makes this movie really worth a watch, in my opinion. It's rated PG, so it doesn't have any objectionable content, and it's got some fun, and you get to enjoy the beautiful Italian villas and countrysides, and there's like a couple of surprise guests that show up, and I think it's worth it.
I've seen some previews of it, and I think it looks really fun, too. So hopefully I can add that to my list.
Yeah, Angel Studios is distributing it. They didn't make it, but they are distributing it.
Okay, so what's our movie question?
So in honor of this Kevin James movie, where it's a romantic comedy that's told from the guy's point of view, we thought it might be fun what is the best romantic comedy movie that's told from a guy's point of view? Because, a lot of them are told from the girl's point of view, but as we were kind of digging through this, we found some that we'd forgotten about that we really enjoyed. And this is one of the fun things about the movie show question is finding movies that you didn't realize connected this way or you'd never heard of, but somebody loves, and it gives you a reason to check it out.
Yeah, so I was
We had to think about this.
Yeah, I had to think about this one for a while. And this one is not exactly from a guy's point of view. It's sort of equal, but When Harry Met Sally was a movie that I thought of just because Billy Crystal's character was interesting, and you did sort of think about it from his perspective coming back from their prior engagement.
Well, a lot of the narrative that you remember is sort of his view of things. But that is a good one. We talked about that one when we were show prepping. That one did come up. So that's a pretty good choice, and it's a great movie.
So Caitlin, our producer, gave us some good suggestions. I'm like, yeah, Hitch with Will Smith. I enjoyed that one. I thought it was
Kevin James in that one too.
Funny. It was so funny. Just the Benadryl and the Butcher of Seville, and it was like, oh no, right? You think he's Anyway, I thought that one was pretty good.
No, that's a great suggestion. For me, I can go I went back to the black and white days. I went back to the 90s. But how about Some Like It Hot? Do you remember that movie?
I don't.
It was voted the best comedy of all time by AFI a few years back. It's Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon and Marilyn Monroe.
That's right, yeah.
Where they have to hide out from the mob. Yeah, that's what I say. That one went way back. A little more recent, I had Hitch on my list too, so I agree with you on that. But there's a movie I think is one of the greatest date movies ever, is Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
He plays a sports agent. So there's this love story with him. I mean, it has those classic lines of you had me at hello, you complete me. So that's the girl part. And then there's all these sports figures and sports agent and all this funny stuff. That's the guy part. So both people can go have a completely different experience and both enjoy the movie together.
Interesting.
But it's told from Jerry's point of view.
Hey, speaking of Solo Mio, are you alone today?
No, Rachel's just about to get here. We did the segment
all right.
switched up. She's still on her way.
Very good, thanks.
That's right. And, I just have to throw in one more, and that was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The remake, the more recent one. I really enjoyed that.
People love that one, the Ben Stiller one.
Yeah, I really loved it. All right. So February is also Black History Month in addition to American Heart Month. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with Janetta Williams. She's the president of the Salt Lake NAACP and the NAACP Tri-State Conference. That includes Idaho and Nevada. So we're going to get her take about Black History Month when we come back.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
It's the movie show. We are live from NPS in Salt Lake City, where once again there was a line out the door before the doors opened. But boy, when they walked in, immediately everybody started grabbing on those bags, the 50-count bags of assorted potato chips, like the lunch size.
It's almost gone.
They're almost gone because they're $8.99. I looked it up. Normally, $19 to $23 for that size. You guys have it for $8.99. So people walk in and be like, "Oh, getting that."
Oh, yes.
That's what I did.
Oh, is that what you did? Oh, well, yes. There's always something new at NPS, and we've got. I know we've been talking about Super Bowl because that's this Sunday, but we also have Valentine's Day, and we have started Valentine's Day early.
Okay, so what are some good Valentine's things people can look for when they come in?
Oh. We have got our jewelry in the kiosk.
Okay.
That's 60% off. And we've already it's already 50% off, and now it's an additional 60% off.
Okay, so guys, Find out what she likes, but then come here and buy it, and then let her think you paid the full retail price for it.
Yes.
This is the NPS secret. You get the credit for the full price with the person you give it to, but you get the wallet hit of just the NPS.
And we have things for men as well.
Okay.
Because we have wallets, we have sunglasses. Our designer sunglasses are on, and so handbags, designer handbags.
Let's be honest. You could give a guy food for Valentine's, he'll be fine.
Yeah,
but you got to be careful.
But you have to be careful. A guy has to be
That's
careful
what I'm
that
saying.
he
He doesn't give food to his girl for Valentine's.
No, or a toothbrush, or a toaster. I would strongly advise against that.
I agree with you. But if you did get her a toaster, get it here at NPS because at least it won't cost you that much. Oh, but I love some of the things. So talking about getting ready for that big game on Sunday is you guys have drinks at great prices. All kinds, sodas, waters. I saw the strawberry milk, 2 for $1. That's always my weakness. I love the flavored milks.
And we have the greatest variety of chips.
Yes, you go right as you walk in. Honestly, you don't even have to turn. You just walk in and go straight down the chip aisle. And you can stock up on the corn chips, the potato chips, the flavored chips. You guys just have such great deals. Snacks.
Popcorn.
You guys I think you guys do snacks the best out of everything.
Yes.
But that's just me, and I love snacks. But you're going to save money. You're going to have a great spread at your watch party, or you can get the right Valentine's gift, and all at great prices that you can't get anywhere else other than NPS here at 1600 South Empire Road in Salt Lake, at 1150 North Main in Layton, and at 475 North State in Orem.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the #1 concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, February is Black History Month, and I'm looking at the history of Black History Month. It was started by the U.S. government in 1976, so this would mark the 50th year that we're celebrating it.
Yeah.
And to help us celebrate and talk about what it means today, and as opposed to maybe what it would have meant 50 years ago, we have Janetta Williams. She's the president of the Salt Lake NAACP and the NAACP Tri-State Conference that includes Idaho and Nevada. Janetta, thanks for joining us again this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I wonder if you can tell our listeners what is the importance of highlighting Black History Month right now?
Okay, the highlight would be to make sure that everybody recognizes and know more about history, because what we say is that Black history has been lost, stolen, or strayed. And a lot of times there's so much history that people don't know about it, they're not aware of. And this 1 month, we try to take the opportunity to educate individuals about the Black history and about the need to recognize Black History Month, not only just in February, but throughout the whole year, because Black history is American history.
Janetta, are you concerned at all in this time in our country that we are revising or changing or downplaying Black history?
I'm very, very concerned, and especially when we talk about not being able to stay inclusive, getting rid of anything pertaining to DEI, all of the the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, rewriting history and rewriting of who can file a complaint and how complaints are formed. So there's a lot. We have had so many court cases, even with the NAACP recently in this last administration, this Trump administration, because of the elimination of so many of our civil rights that we've won in previous years.
Janetta, I sign into social media every day, and today when I signed in, I saw a lot of commentary on a tweet that President Trump, I guess it's a post on X that President Trump put out.
Yes.
Can you tell our listeners the big concern about this post?
Yes, what it was that he had reposted a video portraying President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama as monkeys and apes. And that, I don't know what sane person would even do that. And especially for a leader of the country to post something like that or repost anything that derogatory, it's just a reflection on, excuse me, on what we're seeing throughout the country. That's why we see so much hatred and so much bigotry going on in this country, because it comes from the top down, top leadership.
Janetta, are you concerned that that type of conduct is more, tolerated now than it would have been? I can imagine if had a president done something like that 10 or 20 years ago, we would be going through the roof. But it seems like, well, maybe it's just business as usual with the current administration.
Exactly. So many other, even like governors and Congress, let President Trump get away with anything and everything because they'll say, "Oh, it's just him being him." Well, it has an effect on the country and about how other countries look at the United States. Because when other countries were looking at, even for instance, South Africa, when they were looking at the ways that, slavery and the portrayal of blacks, they looked to see what is it that the United States did that we shouldn't do. And so we have to make sure that we denounce all of these different things like this, because, for instance, Governor Cox, if he's asked about it, he should denounce this. Our congressional leadership, they should denounce when and every time that President Trump does something like this that's totally racist, and they all know it is racist, but with them being quiet and silent doesn't help our country, and it doesn't move the needle to working relationships with everybody else.
So, Janetta, I see that the White House has taken it down, and that was after White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended it, but now it's been taken down, and they're blaming a staffer. I wonder, though, if you could tell us how do we move forward, right? If this Black History Month has been recognized for 50 years, and we do see some changes and some ups and downs, how do we move forward out of this moment?
Well, I think the best way to move forward is making sure that when we see things, like this happening, that we can look and say that let's denounce it, let's speak out against it, let's do something about it. And when we see those type of things, it's almost like if you see something, say something, and you want to make sure that our voices are being heard. And when we see those type of things, I had seen it late last night, and I put it on my Facebook page and said, what sane person would post something like this? And the reason why I use that type of language is because we have to let people know that this is not satisfactory, and that we are angry by seeing something like this, a post like this, because I think people just need to speak up and say something.
Janetta, can you tell our listeners and Holly and I what the NAACP and other similar groups are doing and have planned maybe for Black History Month that we should be aware of?
Yes, some of the things that we've been doing is having a day at the Capitol, but we also watch a lot of legislative issues during this important time, because there's a lot of bills that we see coming out that we have a problem with, and so we want to make sure that we're addressing all of those issues and those bills. So those are just some of the things. Some of the other things that we've been doing is filing lawsuits when we see things happening like the calling for the voter information from all of the states. So we want to make sure that we're on top of those issues as well.
Thank you, Janetta, for joining us today. This is Janetta Williams that we've been speaking with, and I do have one little piece of good news. Maybe it's more than a little piece, but I was looking at Pew Research this morning, and they said that Utah is the #1 state in the nation, percentage-wise, that increased the number of Black people living in our state. We went to 104% of what we had in 2010 by 2024. Now, when you're down at a very small percentage, it's maybe not that hard. But at least we are seeing more and more people who are Black who live in our state.
Were you aware of that, Janetta? That seems like pretty good news.
Exactly. Well, that's really good, because I think it even makes a difference when we see players happy to come to Utah.
Yeah.
From the Utah Jazz. We just saw the trade with John Jackson, and he was getting off the plane and he was saying, I'm here, hi to all the Utah fans. And so we want to make sure that, when people say they're coming to Utah, that they're happy about it.
Yeah, and I remember a time when maybe that wasn't the case. Thanks again, Janetta.
It really was. Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, Black History Month. That was Janetta Williams with our own NAACP. She's served with the NAACP as long as I can remember.
Yep.
Yeah, and always a friend of the show. Well, that's it for Inside Sources today and this week. We're quitting an hour early because of the movie show, but Midday with Maria Chaleos will be up after that.
After the movie show.
After the movie show. Stay right here with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Stocks have surged in the last hour, the Dow reaching a new record high. This is due to a jump in the tech center. NVIDIA is currently up by 7%. Oracle and Planeteer have also turned green after a few days in the red. Right now, the Dow is up 1,047 points. That's over 2%. The S&P is up 115. Its best day since last year. The University of Utah has been a major driver of Utah's